So recently, President Trump picked Brett Kavanaugh to be the replacement for Anthony Kennedy on the Supreme Court. It is a controversial choice, to be sure, because Kavanaugh is by no means a moderate. Now, the Republicans are, of course, selling him as a moderate, but he is anti-consumer, very, very pro-business, very pro-corporate, and also shows some hints of being against Obergefell, that's the same-sex marriage rights, and also Roe v. Wade. So there's a lot of concern about what Brett Kavanaugh might do. So in response to that, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer is warning Democrats, you better not support Kavanaugh or there's going to be hell to pay. Ooh, getting a little fiery there. I like it. Now, this is according to senior aides briefed on Schumer's message. Now, there is some unfortunate concern that there are Democrats out there that are starting to look at possibly voting in favor of the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. Now, this is according to Ryan Grimm, writing for The Intercept. Democratic leadership's response in the 2 weeks since Justice Anthony Kennedy's announced his retirement has been in stark contrast to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's firm across-the-board rejection of any Obama nominee sent up in 2016. Now, of course, that was the nomination of Merrick Garland. Now, Merrick Garland, I did not like him. He was too moderate. He was too centrist. He was too corporatist. In fact, he voted in favor of keeping money in politics. So that's something that we cannot abide here. Now, nonetheless, Mitch McConnell said, no way, we're not even going to hear him. There's no consideration for this pick. We're going to wait until the American people have a voice in the election. And then we're going to allow a Supreme Court pick to get chosen. Which, of course, later on, we find out that McConnell still would have blocked Merrick Garland well into Hillary Clinton's presidency. That just shows you who the Republicans are. Now, again, Grimm mentions that this is stark contrast to what the Democrats are doing, because the Democrats love to play patty cakes with the right wing. Now, Blumenthal is a good example of that. Blumenthal basically said, and this is Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, said the Senate should do nothing to artificially delay the nomination of any Supreme Court justice picked by the Trump administration. Oh, we shouldn't delay this at all. No, we should let we should hear the consideration. We should be able to, see what who Trump picks and then vet them. Now, later on, he said, quote, he said that a deliberate process to confirm any nominee would take the Senate until beyond the November elections. So, okay, there's a little bit of a delay, a little bit of moderation of that language because of the pushback he got from progressives. But nonetheless, Blumenthal essentially said, yeah, we're not gonna try and delay it. We're not really gonna fight this. We're gonna roll over and then say, what are we gonna do? What could we have done? We couldn't have done anything. We're just gonna let them have an incredibly pro-corporate, anti-abortion judge. And then we can rail against that to try to get votes for the midterms. I'm actually adding that. Anyway. Now. So, look, Schumer comes out fiery, right? He comes out swinging, but is it going to work? How is he going to fight? Well, Schumer told colleagues that reviving complaints about the Garland process would be basically ineffective. Instead, the party needs to attack the nominee specifically. Schumer's team has advised Senate offices, according to Democratic aides who requested anonymity, because they are not authorized to speak publicly. Now, that's so basically their whole plan is, look, go after Kavanaugh because he's an extremist. Now, is that an effective strategy? I'm not entirely sure. I do think, personally, I would go after Kavanaugh for obviously being extreme. I've talked about his policy positions or his decisions in the past being incredibly pro-corporate and all that stuff. But also, there is the whole matter of Republicans basically stealing Merrick Garland's seat out from under him.
somebody who actually probably could have been confirmed because, again, he was a centrist. He's not some huge left-winger, not some big, giant liberal, but a very moderate justice. Okay. Now, as I said before, Republicans blocked that totally and completely. They wouldn't even listen to him or let him even get close to a confirmation hearing. So my response to that is do the same to the Republicans. You want to sit there and block our nominee? We'll block your nominee forever. You will never get a nominee. And in fact, when we get into power, we'll pack the fucking courts. That would be me. But I'm a little bit of a vindictive person. Now, Ryan Grimm argues that that's not exactly quite the way to go. And he bases it on polling. Now he says, it's unusual for Schumer Democratic leaders to eschew an argument about the political process, which tends to be their comfort zone. And he's actually right about that. So whenever Republicans do something untoward using Senate rules, that's when that's when Democrats become lions. Oh, how dare you subvert the honorable process of the Senate. Now Republicans are like, yeah, fuck your rules. I don't care. We're going to get our ways. We're going to steamroll you in order to get that. Again, that's taking a strong position, and I'm in favor of taking a strong position. But Grimm says, but wait, maybe we should actually talk about policy, which then makes my ears perk up a little bit and go, wait a minute, he might actually have a point. Now, in 2016, he uses for an example, Democrats made their argument against McConnell about process, launching a We Need 9 campaign, an ultimately futile effort to rally the American people around the notion that the Supreme Court would function best with a particular number of justices on it. Because it turns out that 9 is not a fixed number. You can actually increase seats if you'd like. There is a process in order to do that. And of course, certain presidents have used that process to do more seats and to actually make more appointments in order to swing the court. That's what's called packing the courts. And I believe there was a president that did a lot of important social programs that weren't going to be passed by the conservative Supreme Court. So he packed the courts, and we got things like Social Security and Medicare. That was FDR. Dude knew how to get shit done. My point is, maybe we could do that. But anyway, and it's funny because Republicans would scream bloody murder. But anyway, according to sources involved in the current judicial fight, the shift is backed up by recent internal polling that shows that voters are motivated to oppose Trump's pick not over process, but over substance, particularly around abortion rights, which also serves as a proxy for constitutional rights more generally. So basically, Grimm is making the argument that, look, Democrats, if you want to fight this, don't talk about the arcane process of whatever going on in the Senate. No, talk about how he's an extreme nominee. And that the decisions that he could face, that he could rule on, has a huge impact in all of our lives. And look, that's not a bad strategy. That's actually a great strategy. And I'm still in favor of doing both, but that's just me. Now, anyway, as far as Chuck Schumer, look, yes, is he being strong on this? Uncharacteristically so, which is why I do not have much hope. Chuck Schumer is not a strong leader, and he doesn't exactly have a unified Democratic caucus. For example, we've got Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Donnelly, Joe Manchin, as well as Doug Jones. Oh boy. Now, here's the thing. If you actually want to effectively block Kavanaugh, well, you can't have any defections within the Democratic ranks. At all. None. So now we get to, of course, Heitkamp, Donnelly, and Manchin. Now, those three Democrats actually voted to confirm Judge Neil Gorsuch. And they are all facing contentious elections in red states where Trump had won. And they've all said the same thing. We're going to hear him out. We're going to vet him on some of the different things like abortion rights. Oh no, here it comes. Oh no. So when they said we're going to give him a chance That's not good. That's not good at all. Here comes Justice Kavanaugh. These Democrats are going to fold. They're going to fold. I swear to God, if they fold, I'm going to scream. Now, look. Now, here's the other thing. As I mentioned, the Democrats aren't a unified caucus. But on this issue, on this specific nominee, the Republicans are also not entirely unified. In fact, they've already lost John McCain. Now, John McCain, it's not that John McCain doesn't like Justice Kavanaugh. It's that John McCain has got cancer, and he's being treated, and he's not available for the vote. So, look, that's 50 votes. But they could also lose a couple. In fact, they could lose Suzanne Collins and Lisa Murkowski. Now, those are the moderate Republicans that are both very pro-choice. And they've said, we're not going to vote for somebody who's going to strike down abortion and reproductive rights. So, look, there is a possibility if no Democrats leave, and I'm looking at Heidi Heitkamp, Joe Donnelly, and Joe Manchin. If they all stay firm, then and we end up actually getting Lisa Murkowski or Suzanne Collins, well, then that's it. No more Judge Kavanaugh, right? But the Democrats, of course, you know how the corporate Democrats are, how the conservative Democrats are. They're going to fold. They're going to vote. And we're going to get this disastrous justice. I hope I am wrong. Now, Grimm finally writes, in that vein, for Democrats to put up a united opposition, Schumer would have to corral Sens Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, John Tester of Montana, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, and Claire McCaskill of Missouri. And let me throw just Doug Jones in there, who also said, oh, no, I'm going to give him a fair shake. Don't worry about that. This is a guy who barely beat a pedophile. And has said, no, I'm open to working with Trump. I mean, he desperately wants to impress the right wing as a Democrat. So with all that, with those possible defections, there's more possible defections in the Democratic Party than there are the Republican Party. So that is a huge danger. So do I think that this is going to happen? Do I think that they're going to hold firm? No. I have little faith in these corporate Democrats. I've got little faith in Chuck Schumer. One of them, it just takes one defection in to vote for the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh, and he becomes Justice Kavanaugh. So, and look, Schumer cannot hold this together. Why? It's because he's a terrible leader. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. There was one Democratic senator. Now, this senator spoke on the condition of anonymity, right? As to not anger the Senate leader. He said Chuck has spent his entire career trying to make every one of his colleagues happy and telling them what they want to hear. There's no sense of leadership. It just feels as if everyone is in a big tent, just staying where they are, doing whatever they feel is in their best interests. That's Chuck Schumer's leadership style. Leadership style. Now, let me make one amendment to that. They're doing what they feel is in their best interest. Or, in the donor's best interest. That's why I have little faith. Okay? The Democratic Party will not stop Kavanaugh on their own. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will actually resist. Or maybe, and this is basically my only hope here, is that people who are fed up with this, who are standing up for same-sex marriage rights and reproductive rights, are going to put enough pressure on these right-wing Democrats to stop them from voting in favor of Judge Kavanaugh. So hopefully enough pressure will get it to where they don't fuck this up. Because if they do, it's going to be terrible. As one senior Democratic aide put it, quote, if we don't put up a fight, there's going to be hell to pay. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.